Good afternoon, Erev Shabbos. The Shabbos is known as Shabbos Chazak. Shabbos, where we read the last two portions of the book of Vayikra of Leviticus, Bahar and Bechukotai. And having got through those and reached the end of the book, we give a resounding cry of Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. Be strong, and let us be strong together. Let us give strength to each other and be strengthened from each other. And this sense of positivity is in direct contrast to another type of attitude, the type of attitude that's exemplified by the following kinds of comments. The one that says, I'd love to lose weight, but it's a losing battle. Being heavy runs in my family. In fact, that's all that runs in my family. Or I'd love to have more money, but I have so many financial problems, I'll never get out of debt. Or I'd like to open a business of my own, but my spouse thinks that it's too risky, so I guess I'm stuck here in this secure but boring job that I dislike every day. Or ever notice as soon as you get into the express lane at the shop that the line slows down? All of these statements, as diverse as they are as different situations, have one thing in common. And it's really a reflection more of the person uttering the statements than it is a statement themselves. It's a person with low self-worth, low self-esteem, a person with a predisposition towards negative expectations. Rather than hoping for, looking for the positive, they're focusing on the negative. And you know what that's called? That's called being a victim. It's almost a celebration of the fact that I'm victimized. The stories are always about the past, about the latest problems and the tragedies that have befallen them. But they're not victims. They're not victims, they're volunteers. Made a choice, albeit a subconscious one, an unconscious one, but they made a choice to remain passive, to remain the butt of circumstances. And you can't be a victim and a success in life at the same time. If you want to feel like a victim, and that's the impression that you give to people around you, you will effectively create that as an almost self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's because of the power of mind. Because, as you all know, we are created in the image of God. And part of that similitude, part of that resemblance is the power to shape, if not actually create, our reality. And the attitude that we have to the world around us determines what that world is like. This is exemplified in this week's Torah portion. We're learning about the laws of Shemitah, of the sabbatical year, when the Jewish people were told to leave the land fallow. After 6 years of working it, they were supposed to leave it for the 7th year. And God was telling them, do this and we'll go further. And he promises that the land will produce its fruits and you'll eat to satisfaction and you will live there assured. No problems. And then in verse number 20, chapter 25, the Torah does something very, very strange. It actually raises a question. It says, and if you ask, what will we eat in the 7th year? If we're not planting anything in the 7th year, if we're not harvesting anything in the 7th year, if we're not working the land, then what are we going to eat? After all, we must not sow nor gather in our produce. So God responds, I will then order my blessing for you in the 6th year, and the land will yield produce for the 3 years' use. The rest of the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, because in the 8th there wouldn't be anything from the 7th. Reb Elimelech of Lizhensk, one of the 18th century leaders and founders of the Hasidic movement in Poland, had a famous brother as well. His name was Reb Zusha. Many stories are told about them, about each of them, about them together. He quotes his brother Reb Zusha as saying that this is a very strange pattern. The Torah usually doesn't ask questions of a conversation. And the fact that it does is actually telling you something. God saying, I will then order my blessing for you in the 6th year, and the land will yield produce for the 3 years' use, is actually a reply, a response to You're asking, what will we eat in the seventh year? Because it's the very question that you raised, it's the very doubt that you had, it's the very negativity that you threw into the works that is actually interfering with and stopping the eternal flow of goodness from Hashem, who put us into this world, knows what we need, and supplies what we need on a constant basis. But because we have that power of mind, because we shape our reality by our attitude, then if we feel less than, if we feel not that there isn't enough for us, if we feel panicky, if we feel threatened, then because of that power of mind, the panic becomes real, becomes justified. Had nobody asked, what will we eat in the seventh year, there wouldn't have been any issue about what there would have been to eat in the seventh year. It would have been no problem. Because we ask, therefore God has to go and say, I will then order my blessing. It would have been there anyway. The flow, the beneficence would have come anyway. It's there waiting for us. But it's our doubt, it's our unsureness, it's our sense of a lack of connection that destroys the connection. There is a famous statement in the annals of Yiddishkeit, which is Tracht gut wird sein gut, which means literally think good and it will be good. We're all facing situations right now of pressure, of economic pressure, of domestic pressure, of existential pressure. We dare not lose sight of our connection to Hashem. We dare not lose sight of Hashem's involvement in what's going on, and how it's Hashem that's put us into these situations, and Hashem that nourishes us in these situations, sometimes in spite of ourselves. Trach good wird sein good. Think positive. Focus on the solutions. Focus on the positive outcomes rather than on the problems and on the negative, seemingly negative situation. And then all the things that seem like curses should please God turn into blessings that you can share, and that we should all be able to participate in. Tracht gut wird sein good. Think good, and it will be good.